Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're embarking on a journey into something really foundational, the incredible power of your mindset. And this isn't just, vague positive thinking. It's about how our internal beliefs really profoundly shape our external reality.
Right.
Especially when it comes to personal growth or, say, tackling any new skill.
Yeah, think about it, learning a language, an instrument.
Picking up software, anything really. That inner voice can be your best friend or, honestly, your biggest enemy.
And for this deep dive, we're taking inspiration from someone whose insights really redefined what's possible, Dr. Muhammad Yunus.
The founder of Grameen Bank, Nobel Peace Prize winner.
Exactly. A figure who, well, he didn't just change a system, he fundamentally reshaped how we see poverty and, crucially, human potential itself.
And he did it not with, huge capital or conventional power.
No, it was through the sheer force of a unique perspective, an enabling perspective.
That's right. So our mission today, what we want to do is basically extract the most potent nuggets of knowledge from the sources we have on Dr. Yunus's philosophy.
And more importantly, figure out how you can apply this mindset.
Yes. How we can use it to overcome those limitations we think we have, those things that hold us back.
We'll focus a bit on skills, maybe like learning a language, since that's such a common one.
But honestly, these principles apply everywhere you want to grow, right?
Absolutely. Anywhere.
Okay, so Dr. Yunus said something incredibly profound, but it sounds almost too simple at first. He said, "The world is created by mindsets." When I first heard that, I thought, okay, nice quote. But the more you sit with it,
It's huge, isn't it?
it really is. It's about the lens. How we see the challenge is the challenge, in a way.
It's truly fascinating how direct the impact is. If you, for instance, have this internal belief like, oh, I just can't speak English, your brain doesn't just note that down.
It takes orders.
Pretty much. It takes it as an instruction, and then it actively starts, building cognitive walls, emotional barriers.
Things that actually stop you from trying, from risking mistakes.
Exactly. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, literally wired into your brain.
Wow.
But flip that. If you start to believe even just a little, okay, I can learn this, or I am capable, even if you feel clumsy, even if you know you're not perfect.
Your brain shifts gears.
Totally. It starts looking for solutions, making new connections. It empowers progress instead of blocking it. Your internal story genuinely sculpts what you can do externally.
And that's often where the big struggle hits, isn't it? Especially with something like language learning, where you feel so exposed.
Oh, yeah.
That fear of grammar mistakes, or just sounding silly, it can feel huge. I definitely felt that trying to learn Spanish. My biggest fear wasn't not understanding. It was saying something completely wrong.
That is such a common barrier, so powerful. But what if we reframe that whole feeling?
How do you mean?
Well, what if mistakes weren't just okay or part of the process? What if they were actually essential, like crucial evidence that you're trying?
Okay.
And even more, what if they were the required data points you need to actually make progress?
Required data points. I like that.
Think about anyone you know who's really good at anything. Fluent speaker, amazing musician, skilled craftsperson.
Right.
Every single one of them has a massive history of making tons and tons of mistakes.
Of course, you don't get good without messing up.
Exactly. Those weren't failures. They were feedback. They were experiments. They were the necessary steps that guided their learning. You literally cannot get proficient without making mistakes. They're the fuel.
Okay, that changes I failed into I gathered some data. I really do like that. And speaking of incredible starts and overcoming what looks like impossible limitations, let's talk about that amazing story. Dr. Yunus starting his revolution with just $27.
It's incredible.
When I first read that number, I had to reread it. $27. Seems impossibly small for the impact he had.
It completely challenges our ideas about what's needed to make a real difference, doesn't it?
Totally.
So the story goes, that tiny amount, $27, was used to help 42 villagers in Bangladesh. These were people trapped by loan sharks selling their crafts for almost nothing.
Just to survive.
Right. And that $27 broke that cycle for them. And from that tiny seed,
Grameen Bank grew.
Exactly. What started with literal pocket change grew into microloans that have helped millions of people globally lift themselves out of poverty.
It just makes you wonder, how can something so small spark something so massive?
It really speaks to that mindset, doesn't it? Seeing possibility where everyone else just saw lack or problems.
And this connects directly back to you, the listener, and your journey. The lesson here is just so powerful and so simple.
Yeah.
Perfection isn't the entry ticket. You don't need to be good to start. You just need to start. That pressure we put on ourselves, I have to be perfect before I try, that's often the very thing that stops us from ever trying. I remember my first attempts at coding. It was gibberish.
Yeah.
But you start with one line, then another. It builds.
Exactly right. And echoing that start small idea from Dr. Yunus, we can think of some really concrete things for you.
Like what?
Well, if it's language, don't aim for fluency next week. Maybe just commit to learning, say, 2 new words today.
Okay, manageable.
Or speak one single sentence to a friend, even if it feels awkward.
Right. Or if you're learning guitar, maybe just 2 new notes this week.
Precisely. Fitness goal, add 1 more push-up. Trying to write just 1 paragraph.
They seem tiny.
They are tiny, but the sources really hammer this home. It's the cumulative power, the consistency. These little actions aren't just building blocks, they build momentum.
Micro actions, macro impact. Almost without you noticing, it adds up.
That's the idea. Over time, it becomes significant.
What's really interesting, too, is how this shifts how we even think about what a skill is. Like English. It's easy to get bogged down in just grammar rules or vocab lists.
Oh, absolutely. We focus on the mechanics.
But it's more than that, isn't it?
That's such a critical point. English, or really any skill, it's fundamentally a tool. It's a bridge.
The bridge.
Yeah, a way for you to connect, to express yourself, to, engage with the world. Think about Dr. Yunus again. He used his voice, his communication skills.
His platform.
Right. Not for himself, but to talk about global poverty, to advocate for change on a world stage. His ability to communicate his vision was the bridge from that tiny local start to a global movement.
And it wasn't about having, perfect Oxford English.
Not at all. It was about the power of an authentic message delivered effectively.
Which brings it right back to you, listening now. Your individual voice, it matters a lot. It's unique. It carries your perspective, your experience. And we really want to stress this, even if your skill level right now isn't perfect.
And let's be honest, whoever reaches perfect anyway.
Exactly. The very act of using your voice, of speaking up, that itself opens doors. It creates opportunities you might not even see yet.
It's the courage to engage that counts.
Yeah.
And that leads to maybe a different goal, a reframe. Maybe the goal isn't chasing perfect English or this idealized, flawless skill level.
What's the alternative?
Maybe the goal should be real English. The kind that genuinely lets the world hear who you are, what you think, what you care about.
So connection over correction.
Something like that. It's about being understood, sharing your unique self, not fitting some perfect mold. Your authenticity is way more powerful than perfect grammar.
Okay, but let's be real. We all do it.
Yeah.
We have those negative thoughts,
Oh, for sure.
those self-limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Things like, ugh, my grammar's terrible, or people are going to laugh if I try.
They feel so natural, don't they? Like our brain's defense mechanism.
Right, trying to protect us from feeling awkward.
Yeah.
But they can be so damaging if we let them run the show. They build walls that aren't even there.
But this is exactly where Dr. Yunus's core idea comes back so strongly. Real change, fundamental change, especially in growth and skills. It starts inside, in the mind.
It's not about drilling flashcards endlessly first.
That stuff might help, but it's not the start. The start is belief. When you genuinely, actively shift your thoughts, your self-perception, when you believe, you can learn and grow.
The skills follow.
The tangible improvements follow much more naturally. It's not woo-woo magic. It's basically the neuroscience of a growth mindset. Your brain believes, so it finds ways, it builds the paths, it overcomes the blocks instead of building them higher. Your inner world literally dictates your outer abilities.
So, with that, we want to give you a challenge, a direct call to action for today.
Okay.
Think about making a personal commitment right now. Maybe it's super small, like promising yourself you'll learn just 1 new word today. Or maybe it's deciding to speak out, even if you know you'll make mistakes. Maybe you just record yourself speaking for 30 seconds on your phone and then delete it, just to do it.
Breaking that barrier.
Yes. And maybe the most crucial part, commit to nurturing that belief, that unwavering belief in your own ability to grow. Because that belief, that's the real engine.
That's the fuel for the whole journey. So, wrapping up this deep dive, if there's one thing to take away, it's this. Your mindset really is your superpower.
Yeah.
It's that invisible force. It can hold you back, or it can propel you forward like nothing else.
And the other side of that coin is that your voice, your unique way of seeing things, that's your identity. That's what makes you you.
Right. So your journey, whatever skill you're working on, it isn't just about hitting some finish line called perfection.
It's the process.
It's the ongoing dynamic process of using your voice, of growing, and, crucially, of never stopping believing in your own incredible potential.
Which leaves us with a question for you to think about.
What small action, what tiny step are you going to take today to start really embracing that superpower?